Hey everyone, welcome to Out of the Gloom. This is the Shaman Wood podcast. This is episode number 35. Feels like it's been a very long time since we've done one of these, and we haven't done many of them here in the last couple months. I know I probably speak for Doghouse and say I'm excited to get back to it. Today we have a very special guest that we'll speak to in a moment. But as always, we want to remind people of what we're doing here. We're talking about F3, talking about fitness, talking about fellowship, talking about faith as we experience it, primarily here in the Shamanwood region and the Plainfield region, which is where our third man today comes from. Welcome, Bradley Price, who is also known as Depends. Thank you for joining us. And of course, Doghouse is, as always, here alongside me with my partner in crime. If this is the first time you're joining us, chances are you probably have not thought about getting on the cue sheet either, but that is how we get the third man here each week. So please, if you have an opportunity and you have an interest in joining us on the podcast, don't wait. Hop on the cue sheet and sign yourself up so that we can continue to have these every week. Doghouse and I have agreed that if no one signs up, we just don't do one. So if you have interest, and perhaps even if you've already been on the podcast in the past, you want to come back on a second time, we can find new topics to talk about. But we want to fill that schedule, fill the cue sheet for the rest of the spring and into the summer. Just a quick plug at the top: the Hugs and K's event is coming up here in April, and this week, the week of March 22nd is the last week you can sign up to get a free t-shirt. So if you're interested in doing the run, doing the walk, doing the ruck, bringing your family, this is the last week to get the t-shirt. So please don't wait. Go ahead and sign up today. All right. Again, welcoming in Doghouse, welcoming in Depends. Gentlemen, how has your weekend been? How are you two doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Super excited to be on the podcast today. Longtime listener, first time caller, and yeah, just super excited about it. Absolutely love this podcast and all you guys are doing here. So thanks so much for doing that. But yeah, weekend's been absolutely great. I can't complain about that weather yesterday, that's for sure.
Did you get a chance to get outside and do something yesterday?
Yeah, we did. My kids are getting older, and so like I have two kids away at college, and then I have a senior and a sophomore. My sophomore was out of the house all day for she's in this GI competition. They went to sectionals and won sectionals, Joliet West. So they did a great job there. But she was out doing that all day, and then my son's a senior, and he's finishing up a paper that's due by the end of the day today. So he was spending a lot of time yesterday working on that. So my wife and I really just kind of hung out for the day. It was nice.
Nice. What about you, Doghouse? What'd you get up to this weekend?
Yeah, yesterday was last night, obviously a beautiful day out, got the dogs out, which was great. Um, Kind of chilling today a little bit. Late night last night, we had the poker tournament over at Plankton's, which was a blast. I think we were there till 2. Shout out to Old Maid who ended up winning it.
Nice.
And shout out to Plankton for, opening up the shop and always being a great host. A ton of fun over there. Yeah, that was a highlight of my weekend for sure was um, the poker tournament, and of course the NCAA tournament, catching as much basketball as humanly possible.
I know for a lot of the men who, obviously the ones who were not there and perhaps didn't hear about it through Slack, do you want to talk through what some of the men in the area did for F3 Clubhouse?
Yeah, I don't know that that's been officially announced yet.
Okay.
I know. Yeah, I'll hit a pause on that for now until I know that that's
Okay.
been finalized.
Well, then we'll hold you in suspense until you hear about the new developments at F3
I'll be
Clubhouse
back
down
in
here
next week.
in Shorewood. All right. Myself, I got outside yesterday with the family. Took my wife and I took my daughter to Schaumburg. We actually went all the way up to Schaumburg to Bison's Bluff Park, which is a really cool playground and nature center. It's a perfect day to be outside. Then went over to Pilot Pete's at the airport and had some lunch. Just great to get out of the area. As much as I love the area that we live in, one of our complaints is that we feel like there's nowhere new to go. So we took the 45-minute or so drive up north and spent the day up
Nice.
there. So perfect day to be outside and then get slapped in the face with a reminder that it's still March today and it's blustery and 40s. And
Yep.
it's completely different. Um,
Yep.
yeah, that was a return to reality for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll talk about our workout of the week here in a couple of minutes, but I'll come back to that Saturday opportunity as well. Before we do that, Doghouse, do you want to take us through the core principles, mission, and credo?
Gladly. So at F3, we have 5 core principles. One, we're open to all men.
Hint,
2, we're free of charge.
charge
3, we're held outside, rain, shine, heat, or cold. 4, we're peer-led in a rotating fashion. And 5, we always end in a circle of trust.
right?
We have a mission statement, which I'd like to shout out Deja Vu for correcting me on, is to plant, grow, and serve small workout groups for men, not of men, for the invigoration of male community leadership. So thank you for Deja keeping me honest there. And finally, we have a credo that is to leave no man behind, but leave no man where you find him.
Hi. Hey, speaking of
Hi.
which, oh yeah, Douglas, you had one more thing you want to mention. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
want to elaborate a little bit. So, as Puddles mentioned, we're not trying to force the issue here with the podcast. We want guys to sign up. As many of you listening will probably find out in the next few days, we are switching over to the F3 Nation app. That will include the podcast sign up as well. The process is going to be a little bit different. We're no longer going to be using the Q Signups app. Moving forward, when you want to jump on the Q sheet, you're going to go into any channel in Slack and do the /F3-calendar command. That's going to bring up your list of queues to pick up. This obviously applies to normal queues as well, but on the podcast, we're using that same mechanism. So when you see the queue slot that you want open, you can also do filtering now, so you can filter on the AO, which in this case is the podcast or the date, to narrow it down a little bit. When you find the one you want, you click the more button and then take queue, and that will put you on the queue slot for the podcast.
It depends. You guys have done that in Plainfield for a little while
Yep.
now. How has
We
that been
did.
going?
It's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, but you figure it out. My favorite thing about it is you don't have to wait for the pre-blast to HC. So you can
Hmm.
just go in the calendar, just like you go in the calendar and you sign up to queue, you can go in the calendar and just start HCing for the whole week.
So
So
you can
it's kind of
plan out your
nice.
week in advance. That's nice.
That's right. Exactly. Yep.
Hmm. Okay. Um, yeah, Doug, has anything else on that before we move into the workouts of the week?
No, I think depends that it's a learning curve. I've spent the last 3 or 4 hours kind of messing around with it myself, trying to get us all lined up. So um, yeah, just be patient with us as SLT and as some of the tech guys as we try to figure it out. That's all I'd say.
Who should people reach out to if they have questions?
Me,
Okay.
I'm
All
going to
right.
try to get Underdog trained up as well, so he can help as well. There is documentation. I just put a post in First F General. The Nation actually has really good documentation on how to submit pre-blasts and all that good stuff. Um, but yeah, I could be the first stop, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look back at as we talk about the first F portion in the show, the past week or so, past couple of weeks, a single workout or experience that stood out to you among all the others. It depends, Doghouse. You guys want to kick us off?
Go ahead, depends.
Yeah, I can go. Yeah, I can go. So I'll say my workout of the week was definitely Thursday's Black Diamond at the Grove. Sizzler was the cue.
Nice.
They did in Plainfield this week. They did a site queue takeover Black Diamond. So basically, you got Sizzler and Broomstick are the site queues, and basically they ran both of the Black Diamonds for the week. So it was a lot of fun. Good reason to get out and over to a Black Diamond. Yeah, basically, Sizzler just had us doing this absolute grinder over workout. He had us start out with 30 burpees, and then we kind of ran through 20 overhead press, 20 curls, 20 thrusters, 20 coupon swings. Just had us do an absolute grinder, and then we went for a run, which was maybe about maybe 6/10 of a mile or so Indian run, which I'd say we're probably running at about maybe 7.5 minute pace, pretty good clip. And then we got back, and I was thinking, man, thank goodness we're back and we're gonna pick up a thing too. and thing two and thing three, thing four, thing five all ended up being the same thing. It was just that same
Oh
pattern
man.
over and over, just absolutely brutal. We get back from that fast run, and they were like, "Yo, okay, 30 more burpees, let's go." Oh man, it was brutal, but it was a good time.
Do you recall how many guys were out for that?
Oh, I think we had eight. I think we had eight guys at that workout. Yep, good
Oh,
time.
sounds like a good one. Good. Doghouse, what about you?
Yeah, we had a VQ this week at the Island on Thursday morning. Second Chance came out. Shout out to Second Chance. He's been, he's one of our newer guys, but he's been, I think just maybe in the last 2 months. So he was pretty quick to get on the cue sheet. He did a great job leading. One thing I love that he did right at the beginning was we took 3 deep breaths just to kind of be present, center us in the moment first thing. He did a great job of bringing his personality to that workout. Um, we did a lot of we kind of had one of the things was basically kind of like the basketball drills. It was a partner workout. So basically one partner had a set of reps and the other partner was doing various basketball moves. We did the rebound drill basically where you're continually tapping back up, defensive slides. So he did a great job of bringing that to the workout. So shout out to Second Chance. Good job on your first cue and get back on the sheet now.
Mhm. Great. I always love hearing about VQs. Um, my favorite workout of the last week, kind of in the opposite direction of something that we brought back. Uh, we had a really, really big ruck club on Saturday at the Wood. It's something that I know when I first came into F3, it was the kind of experience that made me feel like this is much, much bigger than just a handful of guys working out together every couple of days. The camaraderie, the mumble chatter. Obviously, you're getting some first stuff exercise, but I think I talked to Foreclosure the entire time. So 45 minutes just walking alongside him. We caught up on a ton of different things from getting ready for the softball season to a job interview to work with the Black Diamond junk removal he's doing, just some injury related stuff. Just I feel like we talked for 45 minutes straight, and it was great just to get out and have that kind of second half experience during a workout. So I'm glad to see the Ruck Club has gotten back up to that. There were months there where it felt like there was a hole in the region because the Ruck Club just wasn't as strong. So hopefully now that the weather is starting to get a little bit better, we can see bigger numbers. And I like the opportunity to mix it up with different guys that you haven't necessarily gotten a chance to know as well either. Um, Ironically enough, I was just out at Culver's like 2 days before, and I walk into Culver's. I'm wearing this hat, and the girl behind the register says F3. My dad does F3, and it's probably the third time that's happened to me somewhere where somebody's dad does F3. And in this case, I didn't know the girl's dad. It's actually Maryland from Plainfield, who I had not gotten a chance to meet yet. But he was at the Ruck on Saturday, so we did meet face to face, and it's just nice to see that family connection between, somebody's daughter who is visibly proud of her dad for getting involved in this and was able to speak to how much he enjoys the camaraderie. And I hadn't even met him yet, so it's always great to make that connection outside of an AO in the real world, where kids who are clearly impacted by what their dads are doing. So yeah, that kind of came full circle for me at Ruck Club, and really enjoyed seeing that many guys out
Yeah.
sharing that experience.
It's funny. I don't know if you guys, I don't know if it's just me, but when I see that F3 logo, if I see it on the back of a car, I always like, hey, I wonder who that guy is. I was talking to Old Maid yesterday, and he said he was at a gas station and he saw a guy wearing an F3 hat and ended up being snail mail.
Hmm.
Um, and they hadn't met before. But it's kind of funny because, and that's even kind of a microcosm of the growth of the Nate of our region. How we kind of have guys that have never done reindeer games, never done, had maybe not hit too much of the Plainfield Ales, but Snail being more of a Morris guy. Just an interesting observation. Yeah, F3 in the real world is always a funny thing.
Yeah, and the point you just made there, like Morris being part of Shaman Wood but also realizing that none of those guys from Morris were part of this when it was still the Plainfield region.
Yeah.
Like Doghouse and I remember it wasn't too long ago that we were still Plainfield, and
Yeah.
Snail Mail would have come across all the Plainfield guys at some point just working out at the Wood or working out wherever. But as we see each other less and less, like I saw Meta on Saturday, I don't see him nearly as much anymore. Um, and that's, I think, one of the things that that Saturday ruck does. It brings guys from different regions together. There's a lot more overlap on that day than probably any other. But you're right, the growth of the two regions that's a really good example. Like who we don't know in the region right next to us, where we used to be a part of that.
Hmm.
Um, I think there's got to be some way to try to recapture that, whether it's getting involved in more convergences or getting involved in more like crossover episodes of like SVU, Law and Order, all the Chicago shows. Got to have some
Yeah.
crossover episode workouts.
Love it.
Maybe we can get moving on that. Depends. Get some crossover workouts. Or even like a sports Saturday, region versus region would be cool.
Nice.
All right, well let's hop into the Q&A, the second F portion of the show. Doghouse, I know you've got some questions for Depends, and I'll pick up where you leave off.
Yeah, thanks. So it depends. Obviously, Daniel, thanks for coming on as always. I want to start right at the beginning. When and how did you find F3?
Yeah, it'd be about 3 years ago, and it was Farmers Only invited me out. So Farmers Only had just kind of started doing F3. He and I go to the same church, and he was talking to me about it and invited me out, and he was just super excited about it and had such a great time. Now I was running, maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And I always felt like, for me, I always felt like when I work out, I go run and I walk out that front door and I'm immediately running, and the workout ends when I get back home. So it's like there's no travel time, no waiting for other people and stuff. So initially, I always felt like, yeah, I don't know if that's something that I really need to do. But Farmers Only was just so excited about it and was having such a good time. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go and just kind of, in support of him, check it out. And I went. My first workout was down at Three Rivers, and Yellow Card was leading the workout. We did monkey humpers right along. He did a pearls on a string. We did monkey humpers right along Route 6, and it was an absolutely fantastic time. I really enjoyed it. Just kind of like hanging out with other guys, drinking coffee after a workout. Like that had never occurred to me to ever be something
Hmm.
that I would ever do. Drink coffee after a workout, but it was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, definitely got me hooked straight away.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. I know Farmers just celebrated his 3-year Manny at the Three Rivers on Friday. So shout out to him. And
Yeah.
one thing we want to start doing is calling guys out. So not calling out, shouting out, I'll say. So it depends. I'm going to count Farmers Only as your shout out of the week. So I'll make sure we tag him. We'll maybe try to get him on the pod.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. So do you happen to know what your post count is today?
Yeah, actually, well, I'll say yes and no. So I did,
Yeah.
I just pulled it up, and as of February 12th, I was at 583. Now, because there's that whole, trying to merge the old data into the new system and stuff, I'm sure I'm over 600 by now, but yeah, what that number is exactly, I'm not sure. But yep, and I think a lot of those are during reindeer games as well, as you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know we're gonna be going through the same thing here tomorrow. So we'll yeah, if anybody's listening, if your counts are messed up, be patient with us, please. That's another quirk of the new system. So cool.
Yep, yep.
All right, so take us back, please, to that first post at Three Rivers. You said Yellow Card was cute, so he gave you a name, which was
Yeah,
Depend. Give us
yeah,
a
he
background.
sure. Well, so I usually when an F and G when I bring out an F and G, I usually kind of give them the rundown. Hey, here's what it's going to look like. This is what's going to happen, just so
Mhm.
that they kind of feel like they understand what's going on. I don't think Farmers Only gave me near as much information as I typically give people. So like I really had no idea what was going on. And then at the end of the workout, like I didn't know like ending in a circle of trust. What does that mean? So at the end of the workout, yeah, they kind of start saying, yeah, tell us about yourself. Like, okay, yeah, they want to get to know you, whatever. And then they're kind of like shouting some things randomly, about what I'm saying. I'm telling them about my family and my job, and kind of hearing some things shouted randomly, not exactly sure why. Apparently, those were names, recommendations of names. And so then
Yeah.
they say, yeah, give us your most embarrassing story. So then I threw down with my most embarrassing story, which I'll give you the short version. Basically, when I was between my freshman year and sophomore year of high school, I went on a missions trip to Mexico. We drove there, drove all the way down to this island to help build the church. We're on our way back. I'd been eating food in the middle of nowhere, Mexico for a week. And while I did not have the runs, things were definitely loose down there. And then it was like kind of somewhere towards the, real late at night, probably like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, midnight. We are driving where everybody's got to go to the bathroom. We're waiting, trying to find some place to go. Can't find a place. We stop in the middle of nowhere. And it's like this, it's like on the side of some range or some cow, field or something. So they say, guys, go over there. Ladies, go over there. So I'm standing there alongside this barbed wire fence peeing, and the guy next to me says, wise man once said, never pee on an electric fence. So that caused me to chuckle. And as I chuckled, everything tightened up and I filled my pants right there. So yeah. So like, oh, yeah. So that was kind of a problem. Plus, that whole thing too, you're in as a high school, freshman, sophomore in high school, and as a mixed group, it was definitely an awkward situation. But yeah, that's how I got the name Depends. And actually Squidward was right there. And the name didn't bother me at all. But yeah, Squidward was right there. And he was the one who immediately told me, that the name doesn't make the man makes the name. And so that's definitely been the case for me. And yep, I've enjoyed it. It's been good.
We've got to chase down the origin story of that statement because we've used it
Yeah.
on just about every episode, but we have no
Come
idea
on.
who started it, who
Well,
who
I
actually
would
came up with it first.
I always track it back to Squidward. I know he did say that somebody said that to him, but I
Okay.
don't remember who he said told him. So we could check with him.
We've got the next line, right? We've got the next link in the line, which is great that we didn't say it, Puddles. It came up naturally. So
Mhm.
uh, Squid's always good at coming up with names. So shout out to Squidward.
Oh yeah.
Cool. And also, just so you know, depends. Whenever we give somebody names and they don't like it, yours is one of the ones I always say, well, it could be a lot worse. Your name could be Depends or Shark. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, good stuff.
Cool. So my last question then, please, if you'd let us know what your typical posting cadence is throughout the week.
Yeah, sure. So typically, I guess I really don't have a typical, this is what I
Okay.
typically do. I'm mostly going out most mornings. So I'm probably out, 4 or 5 times a week. A lot of times for me, I feel like there's just too many good things that are happening. Too many fun things that are going on. Like right now in Plainfield, we got the QVQ thing going on. So I'm always doing that. Um, I live 4 minutes away from Black Rock. So on Tuesdays, I typically like to be over at Black Rock on Tuesdays, but that's when the Black Diamonds are too. We have the Black Diamonds on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I really like to try to get to those too. So a lot of times for me, I feel like my biggest problem with F3 is that there's too many exciting things to do and be a part of that you end up having to pick one and miss out on another one.
Tell me a little bit about BlackRock. My only experience so far of BlackRock was Sparkler's 8 hour run. So we just ran
Yeah.
that 2 mile
Yeah.
loop over
That
and
was
over. That's
fantastic.
the only part of BlackRock I saw. What else?
Yeah.
Where else are the other workouts typically, and what kinds of workouts are there usually?
Yeah, great. Yeah, we meet at the library. We park at the library. On Sparkler's Run, we parked at the Forest Preserve. But for regular morning workout, we park at the library. And then yeah, basically we'll use that loop a lot of times. We'll do maybe like a pearl on a string around that loop or something like that. There is over at Essington and Ingalls, there's another pavilion with tables and stuff that we might kind of go over there, sometimes head over there. There is the school. Troy Crogwell is just south of there, so we'll use sometimes that parking lot. I really like, they got they got like the K-rail cement wall. I like to use that, like hopping back and forth over that. There's in the back behind Crogwell, there is a track, real short track, like maybe an eighth mile or so. But then there's lots of little workout stations all the way around the track. They got the playground and stuff area over there. Yeah, plenty of fields and things. Some of my favorite things to do there. I like that bridge that you probably ran across several times. That real long bridge. I like to
Mhm.
do over unders on there, which always kind of freaks people out the first time they're doing it. Where we jump off the side of the bridge and then bear crawl underneath the bridge and then climb back
Mm.
up on the other side, come
Oh,
back
wow.
over. A lot of times, the first time people that do that, they're like, "Wait a minute, are you sure this is okay?" And like, what like what's going to be under here, and like
Right.
just go. And then the other thing that I like to do that kind of freaks people out is I like to do we do right near the library there are three drain tile tunnels that go underneath the trail there. So I like to put something inside that tunnel, like maybe 6 feet or so inside the tunnel, so that you kind of have to worm your way into the tunnel and then grab that out of there and then worm your way back out. So I like to, play those kinds of games and stuff. It's a great spot. I really enjoy it actually.
That that sounds really unique. It sounds so unlike a lot of the AOs where we don't ever leave the parking lot. Like
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
named like six different places extended from the parking
Yeah.
lot that you go and explore, and yeah, that sounds really cool. I'll have to check that out really soon.
Yeah.
I know the workouts there on Tuesdays. I always do run club at the Wood on Tuesdays, so that never matches up, but I'll have to get over there sometime.
Yeah, and it is a choose your own adventure workout too. So if you ever queue over there and you want to run a run club, and
Okay.
yeah, something like that's always an option too.
Good. Okay. We talked a little bit about Dragon Clan before
Yeah,
the podcast started. And I know that's
yeah,
something that you're involved in coming up soon. So I want you to tell everybody what exactly Dragon Clan is. A lot of the newer listeners maybe haven't seen or haven't
yeah.
noticed some of the men have this dragon emblem on their coupons, and
Yes,
that
yeah,
means something. Don't want you to tell us
sure.
about that.
Yeah, so basically, I mean, people have been doing kind of like I'll say like a brigade occasionally. I haven't seen one actually done in a while, but basically, sometimes people will run a brigade where like a Jellystone or somebody like that will say, "Hey, it's going to be my birthday week," and so the plan is going to go out, Monday through Saturday, double tap on Saturday, and then and then like somebody like Jellystone who's leading this brigade will then get like a group of people together. Like, hey, we're all going to do this together. Here's what we're doing Monday through Saturday, and go to all these different workouts and kind of like it was a commitment and doing something together. Obviously we have other things too, like the Winter Warrior event. We have the Reindeer Games, just as kind of like an event that sort of gets you out of your comfort zone, pushes you kind of a little bit further than what you'd normally be pushed. And really, I think it was now 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago. This will be the fourth year, is when Millville was kind of the brains behind this operation of Dragon Clan. So it's kind of like a brigade situation. It's 6 days, Monday through Saturday. And we double tap on Saturday. We do a black diamond every day. So, obviously Tuesday and Thursday is the typical black diamond. But then on, say, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, instead of doing, what we end up doing is we get there at 4:55 instead of starting at 5:15. We start at 4:55. We do some work beforehand, and then we continue into the rest of the workout.
Mm.
And it's open to all people. We have there's a Dragon Clan core ethos, which includes basically saying, we're not the fastest, we're not the strongest, we're just basically men that are choosing to step into the fire of discomfort, knowing that that's where change happens. That's where growth comes from, is from times of discomfort. A lot of times we find ourselves in life seeking comfort, kind of getting into maybe a routine. Not that routines are bad, but sometimes we get into a routine that it gets kind of comfortable and doesn't really challenge us very much. And so the idea behind Dragon Clan is kind of that fire aspect, stepping to that fire where you know it's going to be painful, you know there's going to be suffering involved, it's not going to be fun, but it is going to help you to grow as an individual.
When was your first Dragon Clan?
Let's see. My first one would have been so 25, 4. 24 was really the first one that I did. In 23, I did hear about it, and I kind of had seen some things that were happening, but it wasn't really something that I really participated in. But then it was really 24 is when I really got into it, and then yeah, when it got announced that they were going to be having it again in 2025. I mean, just lots of excitement. I know, I think it was U-Haul recently was mentioning about Dragon Clan. He's like, man, I don't know whether to be excited or terrified.
Mhm.
And my answer was yes, both,
Right.
because that's the whole point. That's the whole idea is that the idea is it is an absolute ton of fun, but it is also definitely something to be a little bit concerned about with the amount of effort that you're going to be putting forward.
Is it the same time of year every year?
So the first year it was in April. The second year it was in May, and then last year it was in June.
Hmm.
And this year, just announcing right now, hot off the press, is the first time I've actually announced it publicly. It's going to be May 11th to May 16th.
Okay. Any
So,
reason
so
that particular week?
yeah, so basically, there's a whole order to the Dragon Clan that does this brainchild of Millville's, and it's super great. But basically, uh, Millville is the original Dragon Master, and then Foreclosure, and then Hatchet, and then last year they had signed me up to be the Dragon Master, and basically what we're just trying to do is trying to find what works with everybody's schedule. We wanted to kind of like avoid, the week of in the week of Easter break. A lot of people are on spring break in later in April. So there are kind of some things we're trying to like avoid, and then obviously some of like Hatchet and Foreclosure schedule and stuff, and trying to figure out like when we're gonna exactly do it. So that's kind of why that just ended up being the week that we're doing it.
Good. Good. Well, shout out to Millville. I just saw him the other day at Walnut Trails, my daughter's evening event. Hadn't seen him in a while. It was weird to see him outside of the gloom, but really good to see his
Yeah, yeah,
face. So hopefully we
absolutely,
see him again soon.
for
I, I
sure. Yeah,
I think we kind of want to build on that question in
yeah,
terms of what's motivating you and what's next in F3. You've been in F3 for 3 years, and I think some guys struggle around the 2 to 3 year point to be like, well, what's next for me? What's new for me? What have I not yet done? What about you? Maybe you can even start with your progression through the last 3 years. Like,
yeah, sure.
what does that growth look like for you personally?
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, obviously started out just coming occasionally, showing up occasionally, and then maybe kind of started coming out a little bit more. Then I finally led my first workout. I'd say I probably had almost 100 posts in before I led my first workout. Just um, I really enjoy doing the workouts. I think they're absolutely great. But I just felt like I don't really want to spend all the time and energy planning a workout. That just seems like, and they're like, oh, but then you can do whatever you want to do. Like, when you cue the workout, you can like set it up however you want. Like, well, that's what's fun to me is like I don't know what to expect.
Mm,
That's kind of part of the excitement. So I did finally queue. I will say now I do actually enjoy queuing workouts. I do like obviously going to other people's workouts and stuff too, but I do actually end up like to put things together. And there's different guys that lead different things, and I sort of pick those aspects out and incorporate those. And I do think that it is actually fun to put the workout together and lead the workout. I
It's interesting
generally
though,
try.
the way that you described that, because the way you
Yeah,
described what you liked about going to other people's workouts, that you don't know
yeah,
what to expect, sounds like how you described how you play in workouts at BlackRock, where nobody would know what to expect, that they're going to be crawling through a
sure.
tunnel or jumping over. It's like you've blended those two together somehow. I think that's really interesting.
I yeah, I do. I mean, I do feel like a big part of F3, and Dragon Clan is mental. It's kind of like, I'm not just out here. I'm not out here to beat myself up physically just for the sake of getting stronger and faster. There's something mental that's happening, that where you're getting mentally stronger when you come out, when you push harder and further than what you've ever done before. And I think that same thing happens when there's like wait a minute, what are we doing? Like just like some confusion involved in the workout. I think that that's actually a big part of it. It can be a lot
Did
of.
did you pick up anything from other guys that have led workouts that inspired how you lead workouts, like in that kind of way? Like, have you been to, say, a certain Pax's workout and said, I really like the way he does that. I'm going to incorporate that more in my own.
I think so. One of the things would be Vern. I did like my first Black Diamond was with Vern, and during Warmerama, he's like doing some stuff, and then he's like out of nowhere, he says, "Follow me," and he goes and he just starts sprinting, and he's just gone. And you're like, now you're running as hard as you can to keep up. You're like, whoa, like I had no idea that was coming. All of a
Yeah.
sudden we're running now. Really fast. So I feel like that kind of that sort of aspect of where something just happens out of nowhere. Another one of my favorite ones actually was a Shaman Wood workout. I think Six Sheets might have actually been the one leading it. Was at a Shaman Wood convergence at the Wood. They had like cones set up, maybe like every 15 yards or so, and you would lay in a prone position at the first cone, and then when he said go, you run up to the next cone and get back into the prone position,
Mm.
and then he says go again, and just keep advancing like that. I just thought that was really fun. I have used that so many times. I really just enjoy that kind of like, yeah, like, whoa, what are we doing here? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really fun.
The unpredictable. Doghouse, would you say you view cues and cueing, or workouts and cueing, similarly, that you try to pick up what you see other guys doing and hold that for your next cue?
Yeah, it definitely. I'll famously tell a guy, "Hey, I'm stealing that from my cue." The most recent example, second chance. Like I said, he's just a very simple act of 3 deep breaths. Make sure you're present right in the beginning. Make sure you're focused and centered and where you want to be. Broga was a big one. I know. I know
Mm-hmm.
coming into F3, and my early impressions were kind of more, "Hey, this is more workout and physical." And then one day, Chum did Broga, and I'm like, "Oh, this is awesome."
Yeah.
And yesterday morning, we've been struggling on Saturdays at the Wood. I think 4 or 5 guys maybe for the last few weeks, and then Ricola cues out Broga, and we got 20 guys out there. So yeah, I'm definitely always stealing stuff, but I think that's the beauty of it. And one cue I've got in my mind that I've been wanting to do that I need to is the around the world cue. So um, obviously, it's part of my um, Reindeer Games mission. I got to a few new downrange AOs. And what's real cool there is to see everything's a little bit different. Sometimes it's just as simple as the name. Sometimes it's a completely different workout. One example is motivators in Rapid City. They do them completely different. Um, Similar concept with the counting structure, but completely different. So I'm going to try to cue a workout, basically a stolen workout, if you want to call it that, with all the stuff I've taken from downrange. So,
Hmm.
but I think that's what makes it beautiful, right? One thing I did notice also with Reindeer Games is we kind of got. So if you've ever seen Wedding Crashers, there's a scene where I forget their name, but the two main characters are sitting in the wedding, and they make a bet on what the reading's going to be. It's like First
Mhm.
Corinthians. for a while there during reindeer games, the warm-arounds got so repetitive that Dauber and I were looking at each other, and I'm like, "Hey, he's going to do toe taps next, or tappy taps." And sure enough, it reminded me of that scene from Wedding Crashers. But um, yeah, definitely always trying to learn, expand, do new things. You can only do so many burpees. You can only do so many chest press. You can only do so many pros on a string. So
Yeah.
I'm always trying to steal somebody's idea.
Yeah, I really like when men bring something of themselves to
Hmm.
the workout, whether it's some inspirational number of reps you're doing or some type of workout that, like you said, maybe they learned somewhere else or um, uh, Second Chance, you said, did a lot of basketball related stuff. I know
Hmm.
Pancake's done a lot of football related stuff, and Plankton was a football player too. And just you get a sense for the broader scope of who a guy is by how he puts a workout together, and that's always a good way to learn about people too. It depends. I derailed that conversation before we got into what's next for you in F3,
Oh
so
yeah,
I want
sure.
to come back to that.
All right. Thanks. Yeah, yeah. So I queued my first workout eventually, and then Dauber approached me and asked me to be the site queue for Thursdays at the Olympiad. So I did that for a year. That was absolute great experience. Highly recommend that. There is nothing. I feel like there's nothing that helps you to be more consistent, like being site queue. You gotta be out there. And in fact, there would oftentimes be weeks where Thursday was my first workout of the week, and it was like, well, what am I going to do? I got to go now. It's Thursday, and then and then I'd go Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, yeah, definitely recommend Site Q is a great opportunity to really stay committed and be involved. And then, yeah, now I'm doing the third FQ for SLT 6. It's been really good. Very much enjoying it. Trying to really get guys involved with the Q source. We kind of changed things up for reindeer games a little bit this past year, where we sort of did like a Q source overview of all of like what is Q source, why is it needed, what are the 4 different quadrants. Kind of trying to help guys have a better understanding of what Q source was. Had a lot of real good positive feedback on that. Now, as far as, yeah, where does it go from here? So obviously, we're not done yet with SLT 6. So we're still pushing forward there and continuing to kind of develop and do some things with that. But yeah, going forward, what does that look like? What I'd really like to encourage more is kind of that whetstone relationship with
Mm.
other guys, because there are a lot of guys that have been in, SLT, that have done, been site Q or whatever, like kind of done a lot of different things. And well, like, what am I supposed to be doing now? And then definitely, I would say engage in a whetstone relationship. Try to figure out, hey, who is it that I can kind of come alongside and help to encourage, help them be successful. Whether that's coming alongside somebody who's working on queuing better, coming alongside somebody who is, maybe a new site queue, and encouraging them, and to like, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? Have you thought about this? And maybe somebody who's on SLT, the next round of SLT, maybe kind of take that challenge on and kind of be, that develop that whetstone relationship with somebody.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting to see how our region approach. Obviously, we're a few years behind where playing field is developmentally, but I think we are just now getting to the point where there is a generation of packs in Shemin who have been through the traditional steps. And you've queued
Yep.
workouts, you've been a psych you've been on SLT, and then I think there probably is for people in our range doghouse, there probably is a time coming soon where we're going to be like, all right, well, what is next? Like, I've done the things. Do I go back and do them again, or do I find something new to do?
Mhm.
I know personally in our as our third FQ, we're just trying to figure out what that even means. Like as a region, what is our third F?
Hmm.
flag to plant into the ground. That's been a lot of ESLT 2's role from my position. But I'm curious, Doghouse, like, do you see the same thing where you're starting to get to the point where now that you've checked all the boxes developmentally in the traditional path of a PAX, what is next? Not that you're not loaded with stuff to do right now.
No, it is a great point, right? There's kind of so much you can do, at least as currently constructed, the kind of traditional paths of, like Unifems are talking about, right? Packs, 20, 30 posts, queue, maybe a couple months of consistency, site queue, SLT. So there is kind of a natural progression. For me, I think it's just new challenges. Personally, I'm trying to get my running up with GRE. Um,
Mhm.
I think it's finding new challenges and new things to do. Um, you know, Stretching is another good example. Stretching and yoga, different type of, maybe a little bit closer to recovery, but very important process, very important part of the process of staying healthy, staying fit, avoiding injuries, especially as long as we're doing this. So, yeah, always finding new challenges. For me right now, that is running.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see. You're mentioning depends if you want to get consistent in something, become a site Q. And
Hmm.
to become the Run Club site Q, like that was my site Q experience. Nothing made me more consistent than knowing I had to run at least every Tuesday. I was running with guys who ran every day. And at that time, that was just unheard of for me to think like these guys are running every day and they're running before the run as well, like the EC guys. Like that experience of site queuing Run Club alongside guys who are really, really good runners turned me into a runner. Like I couldn't have
Yeah.
just done that on my own. That changed my trajectory completely. So I encourage anybody, as you did, to look for an opportunity to become a psyche. There's no better way to learn what it is that we do and how to do it, why we do it a certain way, but also to grow yourself. I think it's such a great way to get involved in. This is much bigger than me getting something out of the workout. I'm actually giving something back right away. Really great
Yep.
perspective.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome.
we always close our podcast with a simple question about how F3 has impacted your life. You can
Yeah.
go in any direction you want to. Certainly, the floor is yours. But if you can think of any ways, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, relationship, community-wise, what's the one or two ways in which you feel like F3 has made the biggest impact on your life?
Yeah. I'll say biggest impact would be, I have in the past, sort of towards the beginning of the year or so, I will like write an email to myself and basically kind of think through all the different areas of my life and what should I be doing and what can I be working on. But that was kind of like really hit or miss. But I feel like with F3 has really helped me to do a much better job at that and being consistent with and not just doing it at the beginning of the year, but staying on top of it throughout the year, looking back and thinking, okay, what is it that I'm trying to work on? What is it that how am I trying to grow? So just in general, acceleration across the board, fitness, uh, fellowship, whether that's with friends, but also with my family, with my parents, staying connected with them, doing a better job of that. And also even with my faith and just kind of like my involvement and with my church and involvement in the community. Um, it was really, I would say, the primary thing that really kicked that off was when Gopher introduced me and a group of us to the 8 block. So the 8 block is kind of like this structure of 8 different areas to think through, and thinking about what is my current situation, what is the position of advantage that I'm going after, and how is it that I'm going to take steps to move in that direction. So I really, from the perspective of, what has been the biggest improvement for me? I think for me, it's really been a very good focus on acceleration in all the different areas of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the goal, right? If we can continue accelerating and give that acceleration some structure. I think that's,
Yeah,
as you
right.
said, having a very intentional way about accelerating. We all want to get better in the back of our heads, but in the front of our actions, are we actually doing the things it takes to get there? That kind of
Yep.
structure, I think, is an unintended consequence of F3, a really positive,
Mhm.
like, yeah, we're exercising, we're getting stronger, we're getting faster, but are the other areas of our lives also getting better? And I don't think you can, I don't think that day you showed up when you got EH'd and came to your first workout, I don't think that's what any of us expect when we come the
Yeah,
first time. It's just like, can
absolutely
I
true.
exercise a little bit more? And then all
Right.
this else is the unintended consequence of it.
Absolutely right. Yep.
All right, let's finish up in the third F, info only section, Doghouse. I know we've got a couple things. We've had a really busy spring, but still
Yeah.
a few more things on our radar here coming up.
Yeah, so Winter Warrior came to a close yesterday, and I don't know how the hell we did it, but the top three teams tied. I don't know if you noticed that, Puddles.
That's excellent.
Congratulations on that. So
It's
we thought
wonderful.
we came up with every scenario except for a tie, which
Mhm.
and coincidentally enough, all three of the teams beat each other, right? So there was no clear winner, but that was a lot of fun. We got a lot of guys out. Shout out to everybody who did Winter Warrior. As you know, me and ATF and the rest of and Ricola and everybody would joke, it's working. We kind of whisper in the workouts. We were getting more guys out, getting more out of the guys we had out. So I think it definitely worked. Very successful. Shout out to all that participated. Um,
Great work.
yeah. Specific to events in the region, as Puddles mentioned, April 11th, we have the Forgotten Warrior 5K. That's going to be at Shanahan State Park, as it is every year. It's an excellent event. If you haven't done it, do it. It's a great experience beyond the 5K itself. The ceremony that's done for the actual, Forgotten Warrior Memorial is a great cause, great event, and a lot of fun. The following week will be our tentpole event for the first time ever. Again, shout out to Puddles. I think we got our permit this week, so we are official. That'll be April 18th, the Hugs and K's Shorewood Hugs 5K. That will be at as we know it, the Wood. As the general public may know it, Scenes Four Season Park. That'll be our first big 5K benefiting Shorewood Hugs. And that's what I got for announcements, Puddles.
Excellent. Thank you. I'll close this really quick. Shorter COT. I saved this on my phone a couple days ago because I've really been struggling probably these last 2 months or so, maybe even 3 months, as I've committed myself more to running, and I've got like a distance goal. I want to run 1,000 miles this year, and so I break that down. I know I have to run at least 83 miles every month. So there are a lot of days where I'm not posting because I have to get a run in. Like I have to get a 5 mile run in. I can't also post with my schedule. So I've been in the gloom less and less, but I'm working out just as much, if not more and more. So I'm missing a lot of the stuff that I talked about on Saturday, the second half, the camaraderie, the group aspect.
Mhm.
But there's also this dichotomy of mind and body. Like it's when you're not posting to a workout, it's all on you, whether you get up and go or not. So some days I'm like, no, I don't really want to go out and run 5 miles today, but if I don't do it, nobody else is going to drag me along because it's not an F3 workout. I don't need F3 to get to that 1,000 mile goal, but that is my goal. So this quote that's been kicking around in my head for a while is from the philosopher Seneca. He said, "We treat the body rigorously so so it is not disobedient to the mind." And what he's saying there is that we beat ourselves up and we exercise and we force ourselves to stay active so that it listens when the mind says, no, we have to do this. We have to do this thing. It's not the easy thing to do. It's not the easiest path, but we've determined in our mind that we're going to do something and we're going to do it. And then the body listens because we've beaten it up and we've trained it so rigorously. So all that we're doing in the gloom, getting stronger, is ultimately so that when we commit ourselves to something in our mind, that the body is not the part that lets us down. All right.
All right.
All right. So we'll end with name or Emma, as we always do. I am Bill Skoronsky, 47, and I'm Puddles.
Funnels. John Christ, 42, Doghouse.
Doghouse.
Bradley Price, 47, depends.
Depends. Thanks for joining us, man. And for the rest of you, please get on the cue sheet. Otherwise, we will see you in the gloom one way or another. Everybody have a great night. Take care.
Great stuff. Thanks.